Good day everyone, and welcome to where we are putting together solutions for those math and science topics that we are getting problems with. Today we will be looking at CSEC Mathematics and the topic of computation and number theory. We will be discussing papers from May 2009 to 2013. Feel free to like the video or add comments down below so we can create a video to help you in any area of math or science in CSEC or KEEP. Let's take a look at our topic and where it lies in the syllabus. As we can see, there are 10 major topics, the first of which is the area of our focus today, computation and number theory. This topic is tested with 3 questions in the multiple choice and the first of 10 questions in paper 2, the long paper, which is worth 9 marks out of 100. In May 2009, number 1A, the question asks for us to calculate the exact value to the lowest common fraction. So if we look at the question, we will see 2 2/3 plus 1 1/5 all over 6 2/5. So we have to recognize that the vinculum or the division sign is under the whole numerator. As such, we need to first solve the numerator, 2 2/3 plus 1 1/5. Let's look at the steps for solving addition or subtraction of fractions. The first step will be to change the mixed number to an improper fraction. So 2 2/3, 2 wholes will give us, with 3 parts each, will give us 3 3/6, and 2/3, that's 2 more parts, so 6 2, 8 out of 3. And 1 1/5 is 1 whole which has 5 parts and 1 more part for 1/5. So 5 and 1, 6 parts, so 6 out of 5. So we have 8/3 plus 6/5. Now, the next step will be to check if each fraction has the same denominator. We can see the denominators are 3 and 5, so they are different. So if the answer was yes, then we could go on and solve. But since it is no, we need to change each fraction to the same denominator, preferably by using LCM. So the denominators of 3 and 5, there are many different ways to get this answer. One of the easiest ways is just to multiply 3 times 5, and that will give us 15. So we are converting 8 over 3 into a fraction with something over 15. How do we look at the denominators? How do we move from 3 to 15? We multiply by 5. And if we multiply by 5 in the denominator, we will multiply by 5 in the numerator. So 8 times 5 is equal to 40. So 40 over 15. Therefore, 8 over 3 is equal to 40 over 15. If we try to reduce 40 over 15, we will get the same 8 over 3. And similarly for 6 over 5, 6/5, 5 when multiplied by 3 will give us 15. So if we multiply by 3 below, we will multiply by 3 on top. 6 times 3 is equal to 18. Therefore, 8/3 plus 6/5 is equal to 40 over 15 plus 18 over 15. And now we can solve because they have the same denominators. 40 plus 18 is equal to 58 over 15. So now let's substitute that back. That is our numerator. So 58 over 15 divided by 6 2/5. But how we wrote it has 3 division signs. So let's write it a little differently. 58 over 15 divided by 6 2/5. And let's look at the steps for changing any mixed number to improper fraction. Will be the first step when dividing fractions. So 6 2/5, that is 6 wholes. Each whole has 5 parts because we are using fifths. So 6 wholes will mean 6 5s, which are 30. And 2/5 means we have 2 more parts. So 30 plus 2 is 32 over 5. So we now get 58 over 15 divided by 32 over 5. We have changed the mixed number to an improper. Now the next step will be to change two things. The first will be the division sign to multiplication and find the reciprocal of the second number. So 58 over 15 multiplied by 5 over 32. And we can solve by reducing this. 5 into 5, 1, 5 into 15, 3, 2 into 32, 16, 2 into 58, 29. So the top will be 29 times 1, which is equal to 29. And the denominator will be 16 times 3, which is equal to 48. So our solution is 29 over 48. In solving part 2 of this question, it asks us to find the square root of 0.0256 divided by 25. And there are multiple ways we can work this out. We can find the square root of the numerator, the square root of 0.0256 using our calculator, divided by the square root of 25, or we can just solve the division first and then apply the square root. So if we divide 0.0256 divided by 25 using our calculator, we will get 0.001024. And now we find the square root of such, which is equal to 0.032. However, they ask for the answer to be written in scientific form. As such, if we notice, the 3 is the first number reading from the left, which is not 0. And what is the place value of the 3? That is 100, or 10 to the minus 2. As such, the scientific form is 3.2 times 10 to the minus 2. May 2010, number 1A, they are asked to reduce another fractions question to the lowest common fraction. If we look at the question, we have 1.5 minus 2/5 as the numerator and 4 2/5 multiplied by 3/4 as the denominator. Since the division sign is across the whole numerator, therefore we must first solve the numerator, solve the denominator, and then divide them. So let's go do that. 1.5 minus 2/5. If we look at the steps for addition and subtraction of fractions, the first step will be to change the mixed number to an improper fraction. 1.5 means that we are changing it to how many halves that, and that is 1 whole gives us 2 halves plus a half for the proper fraction, so that's 2 and 1, 3 over 2, minus 2/5, that is already a proper fraction. Now let's look at step 2. Check if each fraction has the same denominator. One of the fractions, the denominator is 2 and the other is 5. Since they're different, we need to find the LCM, or we can multiply it by each other, or we can find the multiples of both and see which are common. And there are 3 or 4 different ways to do this. So that's 2 5s are 10. So we now are going to change 3 over 2 into something over 10. We want to find the equivalent fraction for 3 over 2. So if we look at the denominator 2, if we multiply it by 5, it will give us 2 5s are 10. And if we multiply by 5 in the denominator, we will multiply by 5 in the numerator. So 3 times 5 is equal to 15. So 15 over 10 is the equivalent to 3 over 2. If we reduce 15 over 10, we will see it's the same. And 2/5, we will be changing that to an equivalent fraction, something over 10. So 5 times 2 is equal to 10. So if we multiply by 2 below, we multiply by 2 on top in the numerator. So 2 times 2 is equal to 4. Therefore, we can rewrite that line. 3 over 2 minus 2/5 is now equal to 15 over 10 minus 4 over 10. We can write the 10 separately in both of them, or use one division sign and put the 10 below it. Now 15 minus 4, we can now go and solve that. And 15 minus 4 is equal to 11 over 10. Right, we've completed the numerator. Now let's look at the denominator. This is a multiplication of fractions. So when multiplying fractions, first thing to do is change any mixed number to an improper fraction. That's a good habit to do in any operation of fractions. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division is the easiest first step. So 4 and 2/5, 4 wholes. Each whole is broken up into 5 parts. So we have 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. That's 4 5s. So you can quickly say 4 5s are 20. And we have 2 more. So that's 22 over 5 times 3/4. And as it's already a multiplication, we can now multiply or reduce. So 2 into 4 is 2. 2 into 22 is 11. So the numerator is 11 times 3 is equal to 33. And the denominator 5 times 2 is equal to 10. So 33 over 10. As such, we can now substitute these two answers back into the original equation. So the numerator is equal to 11 over 10 divided by 33 over 10. But it seems to confuse some students when there are 3 division signs here. So let's rewrite it. So it will be 11 over 10 divided by 33 over 10. And when we are dividing fractions, they are both already improper fractions. And as such, we can now go to step 2, which is to change 2 things. First, change the division sign to multiplication, and then find the reciprocal of the second number. The reciprocal means to make the denominator the numerator and vice versa. Or we can say we just flip it. So 11 over 10 times 10 over 33. Let's see if we can reduce. 10 into 10, 1, 10 into 10, 1, 11 into 11, 1, 11 into 33, 3. So the numerator works out to be 1 times 1, which is 1, and the denominator is 1 times 3, which is equal to 3. As such, our solution is 1/3. Of course, a good recommendation at this point would be now to use a calculator, work out the numerator and see if that works out to be 11 over 10, and then work out the denominator to double check it's 33 over 10, and then do the division, 11 over 10 divided by 33 over 10, to see that you get 1/3. So 2.5 squared is equal to 6.25 minus 2.89 divided by 17 is equal to 0.17. As such, we have 6.25 minus 0.17, which is equal to 6.08. Since they want the answer to 2 significant figures, that sort of approximation means we look at what is the first significant figure, the one figure with the most value out of the 6, the 0 and the 8. Well, 6 will be the number with the most value because it is 6 wholes. 0, the place value is tenths, and 8, the place value is hundredths. As such, 6 has the most value, so that's the first significant figure, and 0 is the second significant figure. Since we wanted 2 significant figures, we can underline that and look at the number to the right of it. The number to the right of it is 8, which is more than 5. As such, we will be rounding off or approximating so that the 0 increases. So our answer now is 6.1 to 2 significant figures. In May 2011, number 1A, the question looks similar to the couple years before, in which it gave us a fraction 2 1/4 plus 1 1/8 all over 4 1/2. As such, we need to work out the numerator first before we could substitute into there and divide. So 2 1/4 plus 1 1/8. If you look at the steps, the first step for addition or subtraction of fraction would be to change the mixed number to an improper fraction. 2 1/4. That means we're dealing with quarters, or 4 parts for each whole. 2 means we have 2 wholes, so we have 4 and 4, 8 parts. Plus 1/4 remains, so 8 and 1, 9 over 4. And 1 and 1/8, if we think of one pizza and cut it in 8 parts, and we have 1 part extra, so that's 8 and 1, 9 over 8. So 9 over 4 plus 9 over 8. So step 2 says, check if each fraction has the same denominator. If yes, then we can go on to solve. However, it's not. So we need now to find the LCM of the denominators of 4 and 8. Since 4 can go into 8 easily, then we can ignore that and 8 will be our new LCM or our new denominator we'd like to go into. So 9 over 4, if we convert that using equal fractions to something over 8, 4 times what will give us 8? 4 times 2 will give us 8. And if we multiply by 2 in the denominator, we'll multiply by 2 in the numerator. So 9 times 2, 9 2s are 18. So 9 over 4 is equal to 18 over 8. That's our equivalent fractions. They both equal to the same thing. And 9 over 8 is how much over 8? I will just go through it, but it's pretty obvious. 8 times 1 is 8, so multiply by 1 on top. 9 over 8 is equal to 9 over 8. It's the same thing, because we wanted both fractions to be out of 8s. So we now write the line 18 over 8 plus 9 over 8. Now we can solve. 18 plus 9 is equal to 27, so that's 27 over 8. 27 over 8 divided by 4.5. This, with 3 division signs, tend to give some of my students problems. As such, we will separate it. So we'll write it as 27 over 8 divided by 4.5. And steps for doing division of fractions. First step, of course, change any mixed number, and we have a mixed number there, to an improper. 4 wholes dealing in halves mean we have 4 of them. Each one has 2 and 2 and another 2 and another 2. Or quickly stating 4 twos. So the 4 wholes give us 4 twos at 8 pieces plus 1/2 again. So that's 9 over 2. So we can now write the line 27 over 8 divided by 9 over 2. Please note that we try to write the equal sign. Under the equal sign, we write the 27 over 8 underneath that. And we try to write vertically downwards in order to show a good flow in your mathematical model, in your solution. So 27 over 8 divided by 9 over 2. What's the steps for division of fractions now? That step will be 27 over 8, and we change the division to multiplication. And we find the reciprocal of the second number, 9 over 2. So the reciprocal, or if we flip it or we invert it, it will be 2 over 9. So 27 over 8 times 2 over 9, we can reduce. 2 into 2, 1, 2 into 8, 4, 9 into 9, 1, 9 into 27, 3. So 3 times 1 is 3, that's the numerator, and 4 times 1 is 4. So the answer is 3/4. In part 2 of the question, it states 3.96 times 0.25 minus the square root of 0.0256. As such, we can work out the multiplication. 3.96 times 0.25, which works out to be 0.99. We can use our calculators. Minus, what's the square root of 0.0256? 0.16. As such, 0.99 minus 0.16 gives us 0.83. May 2012, number 1A, the question asks that we reduce 3 1/5 minus 2/3 divided by 2 4/5 to the lowest common fraction. As we can see, the division sign is across the whole numerator. It means that we must first solve the numerator. So let's put it in the working column and solve it. 3 1/5 minus 2/3. And what's the first step when we're adding or subtracting fractions? The first step will be to change a mixed number to an improper fraction. 3 wholes means that each one has 5 parts because it is fifths. As such, 5 and 5 is 10 and 5 15, or 3 5s are 15. And we have one more. So that's 16 over 5 minus 2/3. Now, let's look at step 2. Check if each fraction has the same denominator. One fraction has a denominator of 5 and the other 3. So if it was yes, then we could go on to solve. But since 5 and 3 are different, then we need to find the same denominator. So we can do it. We can say the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. It's our 3 times table. And the multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. What's the same in both of them? Both of them, their multiple is 15. So we can use that. Or we can say 5 3s are 15, or we can do the short division method. And there are many ways to find the LCM. So we're converting 16 over 5 into something over 15. And how do we go from 5 to 15? We multiply by 3 in the denominator. 5 3s are 15. And if we multiply by 3 below, we multiply by 3 in the numerator. So 16 times 3 is equal to 48. So 16 over 5 is equivalent to 48 over 15. We can use our calculators and reduce 48 over 15 and it will give us 16 over 5. Similarly, we now go to 2/3 and convert it to something over 15. So 3 times what will give us 15? 3 times 5 is equal to 15. And if I multiply by 15 below in the denominator, on top we'll do the same. 2 times 5 is equal to 10. So 2/3 is equal to 10 over 15. So we can substitute now. We get 48 minus 10 all over 15. And now we can solve. 48 minus 10 is equal to 38 over 15. Thus, 38 over 15 divided by 2 and 4/5. Now we separate them out so it's easier for us to see. 38 over 15 divided by 2 over 4/5. And when we divide in our fractions, first step will be to convert the mixed number into an improper fraction. So 2 wholes dealing with fifths would mean 5 in the first whole and 5 in the second whole number. So that's 5 2s are 10 and 4 is 14. So 38 over 15 divided by 14 over 5. Now when we've reached this stage, we look at step 2. Let's change 2 things. The division to multiplication and find the reciprocal of the second number. As such, that will give us 38 over 15 times 5 over 14. If we reduce 5 into 5, 1, 5 into 15, 3, 2 into 14, 7, 2 into 38, 19. So the top is 19 times 1, the numerator is 19, and the base, it will be 3 times 7, which is equal to 21. So our solution is 19 over 21. As we look at May 2013, number 1A, in the first part, the question says 1 and 4/5 minus 1/3 divided by 2 and 2/5. Since the division sign is across the whole numerator, we must first solve the numerator. 1 and 4/5 minus 1/3, and our steps for addition or subtraction of fractions are the same. So the first thing to do is change the mixed number into an improper fraction. So we're dealing with fifths. So 1 whole will give us 5 parts, and 4/5 gives us 4 more parts. 5 and 4 is 9 over 5. Minus 1/3 is already a proper fraction, so we don't have to do anything with it. Now step 2, check if each fraction has the same denominator. The denominators are 5 and 3. They are different, so we can't go on to solve it. So now we'll have to look at step 4. Change each fraction to the same denominator. 5 and 3 are the denominators, so if we do the multiples, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So 15 is in both of them. So we will change each one to a denominator of 15. Right? When the denominators are the same, that means we can now solve it by working out the top, working out the numerator. So 9 over 5 is something over 15. How do we go from 5 to 15? We multiply by 3 in the denominator. So if we multiply by 3 in the denominator, then we multiply by 3 in the numerator. 9 times 3 is equal to 27. So 9 over 5 is equivalent to 27 over 15. If we reduce 27 over 15, we will see that we will get 9 over 5. Similarly, 1/3 is equal to something over 15. So 3 times what will give us 15? 3 times 5. So we multiply by 5 in the denominator, so we multiply on top in the numerator. 1 times 5 is 5. As such, 1/3 is equal to 5 over 15. Now we can substitute into this, our third line of working, so we will get 27 minus 5 over 15. Notice we write the 27 directly under the 9/5, because that is what our equivalent fraction is, and 5 under the 1/3. So we keep coming vertically downwards, keeping the subtraction sign one under the other to show a flow. Now we can solve. 27 minus 5 is equal to 22 over 15. We now substitute into our original question, so we get 22 over 15 divided by 2 and 2/5. But for ease and reducing our confusion, we can rewrite it as 22 over 15 divided by 2 and 2/5. And of course, what is the first step in changing fractions? Would be to change any mixed number to an improper fraction. So 2 and 2/5 is 2 wholes. Each whole has 5 parts. So 5 and 5, 10, and 2 more, 12. So 22 over 15 divided by 12 over 5. What that means is that we now have a division of fractions question, and we can convert that to a multiplication of fraction question. So how do we do that? We change the division sign to multiplication, and we find the reciprocal of the second number, which means 22 over 15 multiplied by 5 over 12. And now we can reduce 5 times 5 into 5, 1, 5 into 15, 3. And 2 can go into both 22, that'll give us 11, and into 12, that'll give us 6. As such, the top will be 11 times 1, which is 11. That's our solution. And the base will be 3 times 6, which is equal to 18. So our final answer is 11 over 18. Please double check each step with your calculator, work out the numerator, and with your calculator fraction function, you should be getting 22 over 15. Then do the division and you should be getting 11 over 18. In May 2013, number 1A, part 2, question asked simply to solve. So the square root of 1.5625 plus 0.32 squared. So we can find the square root of 1.5625 using our calculator. So it will give us 1.25 plus 0.32 times 0.32 is equal to 0.1024. And by simple addition, we will get 1.3524. In our next video, we will be doing computation and number theory solutions for May 2014 to 2018.